Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're broadcasting live from Ace the Bat Hound's Bat Doghouse. That's confusing, man. Is that like a triple negative?
I'm sorry, Joe, but at this point, you could have just really told them where we're at. Because it's awesome in and of itself.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbert, and we got our buddy Max back at the studio. We're on location, and we're over here at the Bartlett Animal Services Rabies and Vaccination Extravaganza.
Yep.
I think we need to do this at the convention, Brandon.
Yep.
You get a good turnout. I mean,
really do.
Geez, this is nuts.
Well, I've always felt that it'd be a really cool thing to do, like one of those adoption things at the convention where you get the various rescue groups coming out, and the hotels seem to think that's a bad idea, though.
Yeah, they're not really great about.
They're not big fans of us doing that.
Yeah, but so if you get over here, you guys, it's one of those rare kind of live events that we're broadcasting from, and it's basically a pretty good deal, honestly. If you've got a pet, if you live here in the Mid-South, I mean, these prices, Alan, we're talking next to nothing here. So
well, if you need to get your rabies vaccination, if your if your dog has been fixed, it is $16. If your dog is unaltered, it's $26. You got a cat, bring them on down, it is $10. And here's the real kicker. You want to get a microchip, it's only $20.
I mean,
and we are right here behind the microchip station, and it is better than cable. That's all I got to say.
It's
It is a little distracting. I'm a big dog guy, so it's like every time one comes up, it's like, oh my God, it's so cute. I've pretty much given you guys diabetic comas with how sweet I'm being about this.
Yeah, enough of that. But and half price adoptions too, you guys.
Oh
so.
yes.
Check it out, 5220 Shelter Run Lane in Bartlett. Now, I'll tell you this, you better use your GPS. You're not going to find it if not. You're not going to just be driving down
you're not going to look over and go, oh, there it
is.
is. No, it's kind of back up here in the woods. But it's beautiful here, though.
Yeah, it's a great location to have this. They've got a dog park. They've got a lot of vendor booths set up, and there's kettle corn.
Oh, yeah. There is seriously kettle corn.
I got news for you, too. The Bartlett police are giving away a lot of good stuff. I got a T-shirt and a wristband, and there's a lot of good free swag floating around here. So
yeah, and we got to see a demonstration earlier of the canine units.
Yeah.
Which Joe is still smiling about.
That was funny. I wonder if I can post. Yeah, because we were noticing it looks like the rookie drew the short straw, and she had to put on that big chunky dog suit.
It's called the bite suit.
It's not about drawing a straw. You're the rookie. That's what you do.
Yeah. She was not looking too happy in that suit, man.
Well, we knew it was going to win.
Yeah,
and it wasn't going to be the rookie.
No. So it's a lot of fun. Get over here, and like we say, if you've got an animal that needs any of these services, you're not going to beat the prices, man.
No.
So you guys, in that vein, a little later in the show, we're going to talk about, we thought, what a perfect opportunity to talk about great animal characters in geekdom.
Right.
And off the air, Brandon and I, once again, are already debating about what the context of this is going to be.
Yeah.
I'm drawing distinctions between animals and like Mighty Mouse or something like that.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to talk about Beastmaster.
Right.
So I know what y'all talking about.
It's like I'm a firm believer that you don't really count Mighty Mouse because he is an anthropomorphic representation of a human character.
Right, exactly. So we want animals because and
I want to go ahead and say it's like I'm not meaning this as any demeaning way towards people who have a persona. I'm just saying that persona is a representation of you.
Yeah, I wondered how far in we'd get today without mentioning the furry discussion.
We couldn't do that without this because we've got Sparky out here who is the Bartlett Fire Department mascot. And
you should have seen it when he got chipped earlier. It was hilarious.
It was you don't want to lose your dogs.
Honestly, though, a lot of the furry cosplayers, Sparky has nothing on them.
No,
they are hardcore.
Yeah.
But
hey,
it'd be fun if they showed up.
Anybody who has that kind of dedication to their craft and their fandom, I've got all sorts of respect for them.
Absolutely. So, by the way. We want to remind you because we got a call this week, but Brandon, since we're live, we're only going to do an hour, no bonus content, you guys. Sorry about that, but we're going to save our. We got a pretty good call.
Well, I say we go ahead and let the audience know what it is so that they may be able to send us, their responses so that we can talk about all of it next week.
Wait, you want to tease it and not discuss it?
I want to tease it and tell people that if they want to get in on this conversation, to go to geektankradio.com or get us on our text line.
All right, well, you're going to have to read it next week then. Yeah. So while you're pulling it up, Brandon, I'm just going to say you can get in touch with us any day of the week because we take voice messages or text messages at the Rick's Powder Coating text line at 901-683-0989.
Okay.
And,
now here is the question that has been posed to us in the mailbag.
Okay.
Dear GTR, I'm not always a fan of Marvel and DC's interconnectivity. For example, I think the X-Men would be more interesting if they existed in a universe of their own, a universe where pretty much all superpowers come from mutation. There are several DC characters I feel the same way about. Now, what is your opinion on interconnectivity in comics? Now, I'm going to, instead of responding to that this week, I'm going to throw this out to you guys, the listeners. I want to hear how you feel about interconnectivity in comics. And we will unpack all of this in our bonus session next week.
And I want to make sure I understand the premise because I think I do. But basically it would be along the lines of, okay, well, when you're reading an X-Men comic, Thor isn't going to just float in on one issue. It's basically
right.
This is its own entire universe. Because I've always felt that way about Batman. I feel like Batman should exist by himself.
Well, you're wrong, but it's okay.
I don't care.
Batman needs Alfred. He can't exist on his own.
I'm not talking about Alfred.
But I know what you mean.
Superman.
You want to
now is Alfred the pet or the Animorph?
Yeah.
He's the pet.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep
animal.
this straight. Okay.
But yeah, that would be interesting because I think there's something like we were talking about Moon Knight. How do you mix Moon Knight with, I don't know.
And we threw it out there because me and Allan are more intimate with the character through the comics. You put him with the Midnight Suns or the Marvel Knights.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll be a good discussion.
Which again screws up who's the pet and who's the characters.
True.
So we would love your opinion. If you've got opinions about that, and you can still weigh in.
Yeah,
call
we
or text
we
or
totally
just
want to
tune
hear
in
from
next
everybody
week.
else on that.
All right. So we'll unpack that because it is probably a larger discussion, actually.
We also have some really good updates coming out of the Memphis Comic and Fantasy, group.
Yeah. One or two minor changes.
Yeah.
Well, only one minor change, and that's the fact that our dates have changed.
Yeah, that's minor.
Yeah, well, and I said one. And our dates now are November 18th through the 20th, so we're 1 week later than what we were originally set up to be.
So you have an extra week.
So
Better than being a week early and people show up too late.
This gives you an extra week to work on those amazing cosplays.
Yeah. It was one of those scheduling things. I don't want them to think we're incompetent, Brandon. This had nothing to do with us.
No, this did not have anything to do with us.
This scheduling snafu.
This came about because the venue was double booked for that weekend.
Yeah.
And rather than be one of those groups where we're just like, no, you have to give us what we want, we worked it out with the hotel, and we were going to take the weekend afterwards.
Although they are giving us some nice perks.
Well, that's really sweet and everything. But we love working with the people who are behind our venues, and of course our venue this year is the Marriott Memphis East on. It is a Poplar, location. I know there's so many things on Poplar that don't have Poplar addresses.
You can almost call it Poplar Island because it's in the middle of its own kind of space. So, but anyway, Brandon. So we've got the new dates, but also
we also have we have an announcement on who our guest is going to be, and we have the young lady who can hear anything. We have the voice actress who plays Dolores in Encanto, Adasa, and she will be there on the 18th and the 19th.
Awesome.
And, I mean, Allan is giddy about this.
So awesome.
Now, Adasa is a hip-hop singer, and it's funny because she's like 35. They have 7 kids. I want to know the story behind that. But she's a hip-hop singer, but she said her dream was to actually be involved with Disney, and she sure jumped in a big way. I mean, they won, like, Best Animated Movie this year. And then, of course, they got that earworm of a song. We don't talk about Bruno. She's one of the vocalists for that.
And that's something else we're going to, just another tease for next week's show. We're going to talk about earworms and that wonderful, song that can't, you can't ever get out of your head. And we want to hear from you about what songs you can't get out of your head so we can discuss those during next week's show as well.
Because there's got to be a science behind earworms, but also at what point does an earworm become like water torture or something.
Mentally
like when I listen to you
debilitating.
guys.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, we do that to Max every week.
But the feedback we're getting is very interesting because I was expecting, okay, well, this is a guest that's going to really appeal to the younger crowd, obviously, but apparently there's a lot of Disney fans out there
Hey.
of all ages who are pretty excited about meeting Adasa.
And we love to provide that moment. We are excited to see the fans come out and just be happy.
Yeah. So it's cool. So we finally, so we've got her booked, and we'll probably have her on the show in the near future, you guys. So
Which I'm looking forward to.
that'll be fun. And of course, Encanto's a fun movie. I mean,
It is.
Oh, it's an amazingly good movie.
I like that older sister who's real muscular. What's her
Louisa.
name? Louisa. She's walking through the village, and they're like, "Hey, Louisa, I need you to reroute the river. I'm on it. Hey, Louisa, I need you to carry these 50 mules across whatever. I'm on." It's like
Rerouting
it's
a river
funny.
is a reference to Hercules, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So check it out, Encanto. But we'll be talking to Adasa in the near future, and she's going to be a lot of fun at the convention.
And of course, we're going to have between now and then we'll have all sorts of updates about what's going on with Memphis Comic and Fantasy.
Yeah, and I feel like too, we're gonna be out in the field a lot more too because you guys, we're only 3 or 4 weeks away from Anime Blues Con, which is coming up, and that's really that you talk about
And
you talk about a high energy event. 4,000 anime kids running around.
well,
It's like,
and the great thing is that we've also got here in Memphis we've got right now Memphis in May is going on, but we've also got the Greek Fest and the Italian Fest both coming up soon.
Oh, yes.
And you can always find Joe at least one of those.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be working some of the Italian Fest, but it's fun. So we'll be on the road a lot more, man. It's great.
Which we love.
Yep. So, well, anyway, as we said, we're over here at the Rabies and Vaccination Extravaganza. I feel like they need better branding, man.
I don't know, dude.
All right, look, all I want to know is I caught enough grief on Facebook this morning about the full moon last night
Yeah.
and being someplace getting a rabies vaccination today. So.
Yeah. So, anyway, but it said Bartlett Animal Services.
We got you chipped too, Alan. So
Yeah, I
we won't
know.
lose you.
Well, I know it still itches. I
Yep.
keep rubbing that spot. Yeah.
5220 Shelter Run Lane. We may grab Jay, the dog catcher, later if we can track him down. He was pretty funny. We had him on Tool Talk earlier.
We did.
And just being out here, hanging with him, he's a hoot.
Yeah, he's good, man. And you know what's good about him? He says his piece and then he leaves. He doesn't. He's not a blabbermouth. He gets it said, and then he drops the mic and goes back to work. So, but hey, you guys. In that vein, then let's shift gears a little. We're going to introduce our sort of our main topic of discussion today. So
Critters.
Well, here was my. Let me lay out the premise because a lot of times Alan likes to hijack my premises and turn it into something that it's not. So my basic premise was, in geekdom, not only do we want to maybe celebrate a few animal characters, and I'm saying characters, not just somebody that doesn't provide, but I'm talking about pivotal characters in a story, and some that have been really well used, maybe some that have been underutilized, and I honestly believe that. In storytelling, animals are a great resource, and you should not just gloss over them. They could make great characters. I'll start with one, Hedwig from Harry Potter.
Okay.
I mean,
a central character.
By the way, don't ever buy a pet owl for your kids.
No,
No, that's not a good idea.
But think of all of the time, and then spoiler alert, of course, she doesn't make it out of book 7, and that was one of the most devastating losses of any of them.
Honestly, and again, sticking with that spoiler alert on book 7, there are multiple deaths in that, but I don't think anything hit me as hard as Hedwig and Dobby.
Dobby, yeah. Exactly.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Max has had his finger over that button all day.
It's only 20 years ago when that book happened. All right.
All right. Well, what do you guys think? I just want to maybe roundtable some animal.
All right.
Discussion.
Well, I think the owls were an integral part of bridging technology to the magical world.
Yeah, that's their cell phone.
That was basically their instant messaging and all that.
It was their
and
internet.
of course, of Ron Weasley's owl.
Yeah,
Was, the
runs into
Weasley
walls
Owls
and stuff.
was
Screw things up, and
Right.
didn't deliver messages properly.
No.
The other owls did. Getting an owl in the middle of lunch, you just knew you were in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was a great, I'm not going to say crutch, but I'm going to say it was a great tool to move the story along. Because if nothing else, well, Harry Potter needs a broom. Harry Potter needs this. Harry Potter needs that. Well, here comes an owl.
Right.
Blam! And now you can just get on with the story.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter is we can't just put all of that on owls. If there is an animal introduced early on in a Harry Potter book or movie, that animal is going to play a pivotal role. I mean,
they're never a throwaway character.
Buckbeak.
Yeah.
Or a rat.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Let's just be honest. I mean, nobody paid any attention to that rodent for a while.
And until you found out who he really was.
Then you went, oh, this is like the rest of the books.
Right.
Because anytime an animal is in a scene, it usually steals the scene. And Alan, what is the whole thing? Don't bring a horse onto a stage or whatever.
Never put a horse on stage.
But they do steal all the attention. But they're, I feel like they're underutilized. I think they can be great storytelling vehicles.
There's too many, especially in geek culture, there's too many things out there that put the dog in there or put the cat in there, and it's just there.
Yeah.
But,
it's
animals,
sitting in the background.
Animals are, they drive the story. Especially like in things like like I Am Legend, I had more of a emotional attachment to the dog than I ever did to Will Smith.
Well,
yeah,
I was going to pick on Dirty Harry and John Wick.
John.
You get 3 movies out of a dog.
I mean,
with that one.
let's just and
I can't say that I wouldn't react the same way John.
All right,
does.
what about the ultimate foil that didn't mean to be one, but Jonesy?
Jonesy, I don't know that one.
Jonesy the cat, an alien.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hey,
That was
that
gimmicky,
cat,
yeah.
that cat was the centerpiece of more scooch to the end of your seat scenes.
Jump scares.
Yeah.
It's just Oh, and it's such a memorable experience with Jonesy, our friend and time to time co-anchor Laura Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She and her cat Roger, for her current Facebook page post, her profile pic, it's her and Roger as Ripley and Jonesy.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And it's one of those. It sits with people.
Yeah, I feel like you always get an emotional connection because for the most part, dogs are innocent. I mean, and they're usually loyal as they can be, and they're pure characters. Or, well, cats not always, but
no,
a lot of time. But a dog is more or less, But I was thinking of something else, like in Harry Potter, because I always go back to that because there's so many animals in that, and I experienced Harry Potter through the literature, you could say.
Right.
So maybe I'm viewing this more along the line, because even in Sherlock Holmes, Watson had a little bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't mention him very often. But have you ever read anything where they describe it through the animal's point of view? Like I remember there was one scene I think where
I don't know.
Voldemort's
How about an entire book by the president's dog?
What's that one?
Really?
Tell me. I don't know which one you're talking about. You always assume people know things. So
Millie the dog wrote an entire book.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Millie the dog. Never read that. But now Black Beauty, that one is told from the horse's perspective.
Right.
That, and
more or less. But
that's what do you mean? The horse is narrating the movie.
There's and I don't bring up this author lightly because I know it triggers Allan to tell a story from the past that we're going to not tell today. But with Robert Asprin's myth series, Gleep, the pet dragon, who is completely bonkers. But then later on, you actually get a story told completely from his point of view.
Yes.
And he's probably the most intelligent character out of the entire series.
Yes. Well, I mean, from an animal's point of view, this was Millie the dog belonged to President and Mrs. Bush.
Okay.
Round 1.
Yeah.
And this was an entire story told about living in the White House and politics and the pressure of being on top, told from the idea of an English Springer.
Okay.
But that was Millie the dog. That was a huge thing in its day.
I missed that one. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, was that a corgi?
No, it's an English Springer. It's a Springer. Dog.
Okay. Yeah.
English
I don't
Springer.
know, man. We're talking about geek stuff too, so
I'm gonna throw one out there that is near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
And it's because it's in my book. The Debate of the Dead book, one of our authors, Paisley Gray, tells the entire story from what was basically an animal test, subject.
Right.
And talks about being rescued after being left in the lab and going through the trials of a zombie apocalypse with her owner.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
An owner who, spoiler alert, if you haven't read, I'm going to say, if you haven't read our book, the owner does eventually succumb to the virus.
Yeah.
And the dog has to basically put down their owner. So you see that it's one of those things where you're like, oh my God, this horror story should not make me cry like that.
Yeah.
Especially when it's written by someone that I know.
Yep. Very, very interesting. So, well, guys, I'm gonna save my next topic here. Never mind. Let me just start over. We're going to talk about Planet of the Apes when we come back.
No, we're not.
How's that for a tease? You're listening to Geek Tank Radio. We are on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
And it's not out of the question that you might have a very minor case of serious brain damage.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Yeah, I kind of think that's unquestionable at this point.
I think that was the perfect rejoiner after that Tool Talk commercial.
Absolutely. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbert, and our buddy Max over there behind the glass, and Ditch from Memphis Morning News is running around somewhere. And, hey, we're over here at the Rabies and Vaccination Extravaganza. I mean, how often do you say that every day? Great branding.
We should hear it more often.
At the Bartlett Animal Services. And, hey, guys, before we jump into our discussion of geekdom, I should say animals and geekdom, and then whether Planet of the Apes qualifies as, whatever. We got our buddy Jay, the dog catcher, who is the only dog catcher in America who's been elected.
Yes.
Is that right, Jay?
Yes.
Yep.
By a landslide, right?
Yeah, you guys all voted for me.
We did.
All three of y'all voted for me, and you voted me in, so I'm good.
Well, Jay, you've been running around all day, man. What is this event? I mean, you're sort of the face of this event. Like,
I hope I'm not the face of this event. Good grief. This is not a pretty face, I'll be honest with you. No, this is an event that we hold every year. The Rabies and Microchip is to give people an opportunity to get their dogs vaccinated at a low-cost rate, and also microchipping, which is very important. Especially, if your dog does happen to get out, as they sometimes do, the microchip helps get them back to you. And we offer this to once a year, annual. We haven't done it the past couple of years due to, well, I think we all know why we didn't have it for the past couple of years. But we're back this year, and we wanted to do it a little different and have it a little bit more of an extravaganza. We had the Bartlett Police K-9 unit out here earlier doing some demonstrations, and Wonder Dog was over there doing some demonstrations and giving some training tips to everybody. And so we still have some vendors out here doing some nail trims, and we've got the kettle corn, which I see you guys are enjoying the kettle corn.
Yeah, the kettle corn's been sort of stealing the show.
Yeah. And we're also doing half-price adoptions on all of our animals that we have available.
It's a great day for it, man, and start off a little iffy. It was cloudy, but, man, you couldn't have asked for better weather.
The weather's perfect. We'll be out here for another, hour and a half, I believe, something like that. We'll be here till 2 o'clock, and, yeah, man, so if you're in the area and you need to get your dog current on vaccines, you need to get a microchip, or you just want to come by and say hi.
I think you should. I think you should do all those things. Go to 5220 Shelter Run Lane in Bartlett, and you're definitely going to use your GPS, because when you pull up here, you're gonna go, what the heck? You're going behind fences and residential homes and everything. It's not really off the main street here.
No, we were actually, they put us back here way before they developed this whole neighborhood right here in front of us. So we were really out in the middle of nowhere originally. So,
but it makes it peaceful, and you got sort of a dog jungle gym over here, like a Disneyland.
Yeah, we got our dog park that's it's open to the public all the time, 365. And we got, like you said, jungle gym stuff for the dogs. We got obstacle courses and all kinds of stuff for your dogs out there. We got pools, dog pools. Yeah, especially on these hot summer days. I'm thinking about going and jumping in it.
No kidding.
You join Jay and I over there in just a few
That's
minutes.
right.
Hey, Jay, I got sort of a different kind of question for you, but since you are the animal authority here, so basically we're set up here right at the entrance, you guys, and we've been watching all day. And I finally see our first bulldog. That's my first. That's my favorite dog. But anyway, what I've noticed in a handful of situations, I've noticed I don't know how to say this, but the dogs sort of look similar to their owners in the sense of like I've seen 3 of these guys walk up with these giant mastiffs, and these guys are like almost 7 feet tall. They kind of have the same characteristics.
Yeah, I saw them just big guys with big dogs.
And they kind of look like. Well, is there a psychology behind that? What do you know about that dynamic?
I don't know on that one. I haven't. Now I've heard that. Oh yeah, pets look like their owners and stuff like that. And we've seen a little bit of that today, like you said. But I don't know that there's any actual science behind that one. I'm not sure about that one. Well, we may have to do our own studies on that one.
Yeah, I think it needs to be done, man, because it is interesting, and
I do want to remark the bulldog has been chipped like an absolute champion. He didn't
flinch. Yeah,
he didn't even blink.
Yeah, they walk up, they get their shot. The bulldog couldn't have cared less. But some of these little yappers, they are not having any of it.
The little ones seem to be. They like to be a little more vocal sometimes, to say the least. You think that you would have more problems out of the big mean-looking dogs, but man, those little ones they can be a real pain sometimes.
They gotta show. The big guys have to show them who's boss. And
yeah.
So
I did like seeing earlier there was a mastiff out here who decided he was going to get up on the table and do his own paperwork.
He did. He was.
But it's
if
a
he'd
lot
have
of
had
fun,
thumbs,
man.
I think he'd have been driving.
Yeah.
He was having a good day.
But Jay, you said normally your services here are only for Bartlett residents, so this is really, you need to get down here.
Well, normally
now it's for everybody.
Now we do offer microchipping, but the rabies we do not offer.
Okay.
We do this one time a year, just to kind of give people an opportunity to keep their dogs current on vaccines.
Okay, cool. Well, Jay, this is great, man, and I have a feeling we're going to be crossing paths again.
Oh, most definitely.
You're an old buddy at Ditches, right?
Yeah, I know that guy. Sometimes I claim him, sometimes I don't. Depends on the context.
I think we need to bring him in every so often just to talk about what's going on animal-wise in the Mid-South.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Absolutely.
Love to do it.
All right, one last time, get down to the Bartlett Animal Services for the Rabies and Vaccination Extravaganza. What is that acronym? Rave. Hey, it's
Rave.
It's an animal rave.
Get down to the Rave, 5220 Shelter Run Lane in Bartlett. So, well, Jay, you're doing yeoman's work, man.
Man.
You haven't sat down the whole day. You've been working.
Nah, I don't get a chance to. I'll sit down when they're done with me. They're done with me. They just go, okay, we're done with you. Go sit down.
Go sit down. They feed you, give you the water bowl, and
yeah, basically that's it. Here's your scraps. Go away.
All right, Jay. Good talking to you, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's been nonstop. Now I said earlier I wouldn't want Ditch doing our volunteering for the convention. Oh, you missed that discussion, didn't you, Brandon?
Well, it must have been a Tool Talk discussion.
Ditch is too laid back and last minute, and he just sort of shows up and at the very last minute plugs everything in. Well,
but
Jay,
that's because he's a master
the
at what he
opposite.
does.
Well, I guess, but it's nerve wracking for me. I've been here since like 6:30 this morning, ready to go, and but.
Which
Anyway,
was
Jay
nerve-wracking for
he's
everybody
on
else.
top of it. So, well, you guys, let's not run out of time before
All
we
right.
circle back to our discussion. And I don't know. I started talking about Planet of the Apes because I wanted to know, is that I guess it would depend on how far into it you get. Because like the Matt Reeves one, we got to see the evolution of it before they were talking and things like that. So
right, I think that even in the old OG series, I think you can still advocate for those being animals in geekdom, and not just anthropomorphic humans who just happen to take on the aspects of an ape. But at the same time, I don't know if I'd go Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles seems too human-like. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, there's that weird point, and I'd love to hear from our audience on what they think, because again, it's really one of those situations where you all come at it from a different angle.
Yeah, I guess my big thing has always been about how do you, if you put if there's a pyramid of importance, at the very top is story, and every other device and every other piece of technology or every other thing is in service to telling a story. So if you've got animals in a story and you're not utilizing them, I feel like you're wasting a resource, basically.
Well, we'll pick on story writing advice that goes like this.
Yeah.
If you're going to show somebody a gun in Chapter 1 or Section 1 or Act 1, whatever part of whatever it is you're writing, if you're going to show somebody a gun, you need to shoot somebody in the next one.
Absolutely.
And the thing with an animal, if you're going to bring in an animal, the animal needs to commit or be a part of the solution, the problem, or the ongoing plot.
Right.
There were several, I'm going to say, cozy mystery series written over the last 60 years that involved a cat or a dog that were integral part of the sleuthing event.
Right.
Whether by the dog was really that smart and the dog was smarter than the people, or the cat was really that dumb and just so happened to tip over the vase that had the diamond in it.
Yeah.
So whatever event you're going to do, play off of the aspect and choose your animal character. Choose your animal carefully, because, again, once you suspend disbelief in your story and people believe that your rat will run up that cable and pull that bell when it's trained to do so, you now have a great Sherlock Holmes mystery.
Yeah, absolutely. I had I hate to use a food metaphor.
No, go ahead.
Cause
You're allowed to.
You know
Alan's
what it's
on-
reminding me of? Because, like I said, and I guess I'm mostly thinking of literature or just, I don't know, bigger storytelling, whatever. Is I'm thinking the use of an animal in a story, and we're strictly talking about them as a character. I feel like it's a lot like cooking, because for example, I love pesto.
Right.
If anything has even the slightest trace of pesto in it, I'm like, ooh, this has pesto. It might have chicken. It might have 15 other ingredients, but I'm paying attention to the pesto. When an animal is introduced into a story, whatever scene or whatever, you're always focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you overuse that, it's going to
Pizza
diminish
Dog
it.
in the Hawkeye series.
So you use it almost like a seasoning.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
No. I think you're absolutely right. So often when you introduce an animal in any kind of series, it's like, we talked about Hawkeye enough on the show already, but I was the fact that they kept going, you need to go walk your dog. So many times, and we see things where a dog gets introduced early on and is wasted, or a cat. It's like, but going into literature, I'm a huge Janet Ivanovich, Stephanie Plum novel fan.
Okay.
It's not something you would expect a guy like me to read, but I find those books hilarious.
Okay.
And Bob the dog and Rex the hamster are two of the most important characters in that entire book series, and they're not anything other than just your random regular pets.
Right.
It's like when Stephanie's dealing with her rival, who she's hated since they were kids. She takes her boyfriend's dog Bob. She feeds him Italian food, and then we'll take him over to that woman's yard.
We know what Bob's up to. What'd you say, Max? You want to chime in?
I wanted to throw a wrench in the system here with all this business.
Naturally. Okay.
So what I was thinking is that rather than viewing it as like throwing a pet in there as the seasoning, we could say throwing the pet equivalent in there as the seasoning. So, for example, if we had the movie Zootopia and everything, which the characters are all animals, all of a sudden you throw a human in there. Or Toy Story, you throw a human in there. All of a sudden the story becomes all the more interesting.
That's a good point. If you had too many humans in Toy Story, it wouldn't work.
I'm a firm believer that once you throw humans into something like Zootopia, it's like putting cilantro in something. Some people are going to like it. The rest of us are going to go, get the soup out of my food. The soap out of my food.
Yeah.
Keep the adults out of our penis.
I'm back to that book, Serving Man.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know.
But no, you're
so Joe, is if you want to know, Serving Man did have a pesto recipe in it.
Did it? I never watched that one. That's what's that called? Soylent Green.
Yeah, Soylent Green. Our best product is our people.
Okay. It's funny.
That's the same here at Geek Tank.
Now that you're mentioning it, and not to segue, but Brandon, you mentioned those Janet Ivanovich stories. I went through a little period where, because back in the day when you could actually do this, I would go to the library and I would get audiobooks, like audio tapes, and listen to audiobooks on my headphones while I worked because it's free. I went through a whole bunch of those, and as I recall, the other gag in those books is she's always ruining cars.
Oh, she blows. Her cars are destroyed constantly.
And the cars become a character.
Yes.
Anything.
Well,
see, that's the thing. Anything can become a character.
There's a car introduced in the first book. It belongs to her grandmother. It used to be her great uncle's. It is a giant powder blue Buick that cannot. She describes it as driving a refrigerator on wheels, and no matter what, every other car she has gets destroyed. This car can stand up to anything. It's like in one, I think it's book 17, or somebody uses their Escalade to move the Buick out of the way. It doesn't even scratch the paint.
Interesting. I don't know, man. I think the whole thing here is it's like if you're a painter and you have the easel, or not the easel, what do they call that thing where you hold the paint?
Palette.
If you have the palette and you're only using 5 colors when you've got 50 at your disposal.
Well, the other thing to remember, if you're going to add a pet, the chances are the writer is also going to add textures.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is they're going to bring in, because you brought in a dog or a canary or a cat or whatever, you're probably also going to bring in the fact that their behavior is usually centered around sights, smells, senses,
good point.
something you wouldn't have noticed. The dog, why is the dog so cued on that spot on the carpet? That spot on the carpet looks exactly like every other spot on the carpet. Well, the dog knows that you poured something there. The human can't see it.
Yeah.
So, I think by bringing in an animal as a functional character, and I don't mean as an anamorph. I mean,
no, we're talking in their
we're
context.
talking Bob the hamster.
Right.
You put Bob the hamster in the hamster rolly wheel, and Bob the hamster heads right for the shiny thing under the couch. Why? Because he's the only one that can see the shiny thing under the couch.
You bringing up just all of a sudden I just see that Malcolm in the Middle bit with the hamster and the hamster ball going all over for like an entire season where they don't know where it is, but you just see it moving around in the background or in the foreground during cutscenes.
You just see the hamster just trucking back and forth.
I want to go ahead and complain about something though. I know we're running out of time, and I still wanted to get to Super Pets. But I want to complain about something when it comes to writers and screenplays and stuff like that. And that's the people who introduce a pet just to kill it for an emotional response later.
That's true.
It happens a lot in
Isn't that what John Wick was? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they don't let you get to know the animal at all.
Oh, gotcha.
And
he knew the animal.
He knew the animal. But I'm talking about Gage. I'm not talking about Gage as a plot point in Pet Sematary,
right?
But I'm talking about it's like in the remake of Amityville, one of the many Amityville where they have a dog. You don't even really know the dog's name. Later that night, the dog disappears, and then 2 days later, they find the dog's corpse.
Oh, okay.
Friday the 13th liked to introduce somebody who has a little, tiny dog, and then later on, you would see like a tiny animal corpse. You're like, oh my God, they killed the dog, and the dog would show up at the end of the movies.
So wait, what's the nature of your beef?
It's people it's writers who decide I need to get an emotional response from my readers, and the only way I can think about it is to kill off an animal,
off a cute fuzzy thing.
Because I know that my characters are so two-dimensional that it doesn't matter if I kill one of them.
Well, an immediate way to
using it as a lazy plot device. You are an editor. You have seen it 1,000 times.
I'm having flashbacks now. I just leaned back in the chair and just went, oh.
Yeah. I was about to say, if you have a character that's mistreating they kick a dog, you immediately well, that's the villain.
That's the villain.
Yes, but the villain would never kick the dog.
No, the villain wouldn't kick the dog.
The villain would never kick the dog.
Unless it's an 80s movie where you're doing everything in your power to save your grandfather's home where all of his old people live.
Oh.
Because, One Crazy Summer. I watched it the other day.
I know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The villain
unless the dog was the police car dog, you don't. So.
I don't know, man. But Brandon, what did you had this? Well, we've got a movie coming up,
right?
And we're going to test this
coming
theory.
Coming up in July. We have got DC's League of Super Pets, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Crypto.
Because he can,
right?
Why not?
Kevin Hart as Ace, the Bat Hound. I mean, he's not the Bat Hound at this point. He's just a shelter pet. But we've got Keanu Reeves doing the voice of Batman.
Oh, now here we go. That's interesting.
I'm kind of cool with this.
And the plot point is that someone using a cute furless animal named Lulu, they kidnapped the Justice League.
Right.
And, Crypto puts together a team to go save his people.
The dogs have to save the day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
man.
there's an amazing trailer that is just it's to give you Ace's character, and it's about it's him and Batman talking about how they work alone. They have no time for emotional attachment, and it's like Bruce is like, as a child my parents were taken from me, and then it's like got Ace and he goes, as a child I was taken away from my family, and it's like back and forth, and they're both gruff, and all of a sudden Ace is like, heck with it, and he jumps on Bruce and starts licking his face.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon. Now I'm glad you mentioned it, and it wouldn't be right if Geek Tank Radio went a whole episode without mentioning Batman. I mean, that would be unnatural.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, I've always had my beef with sidekicks. I don't want Batman having Robin or anything. However, now that you mention it, I don't mind Ace, but have we ever seen any good stories with Ace in the comics? Because honestly, I can't think of many.
In the old days, it was just because it's like we gave it an animal because kids like animals. But they had a few stories where Ace was integral to catching the villain. But most recently, as a backup, I think in Detective Comics, they were doing a story where Bruce gets Ace, and Ace is like a very rabid street dog thing, and he trains him and he tempers him and gets him back into, and that's how he bonds with him.
So it's like Jason Todd. Hopefully he won't go the same route as...
Right. But I mean, the thing is, this story takes place in the past. He doesn't have a Robin or anything like that. He has the dog. And it's a really good story, and it came about because, like he broke up a dogfighting ring or something.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of these soldiers that come back from war and they have PTSD, and they rescue animals.
Yeah.
And some of those animals were in service too, and they're a little bit emotionally damaged. I kind of like that. I don't know why. It's funny. I can handle Batman hanging out with the dog, but not Robin.
Well, the dog doesn't talk back.
Right.
Dogs don't argue.
He never barks holy whatever.
Yeah. I don't know.
But no, Ace gets more work out in like Batman Beyond than he did.
Oh, that's right. Batman
He
Beyond,
does.
he's there the whole
He
time.
was Bruce. He's basically Bruce's service animal because Bruce is old and everything. But
Everything hurts.
But
yeah.
Terry will take Ace out on patrol and stuff.
That's true.
So-
Ace is pretty central in that one. So I don't know, folks. We would love to know what you think of.
Let us know what your favorite pet in
critters in fandom. Yes.
Because
I know we missed a ton of them.
Yeah, we probably missed a bunch.
Oh,
but
we didn't even scratch the surface good.
Streaky-
I can just...
Streaky the Wonder Cat, who basically has the Flash's powers.
But I would say I think we did, even in our own small way, we did a public service. If you're a writer out there and you've got this big, like we said, if you're telling stories, just don't gloss over the animal. The animal might be an interesting character to introduce. So,
Well, and keep in mind, having a pet is part of the human condition.
Yeah.
sure.
When you have people, and I don't mean to go back and pick on John Wick again, but the loss of the animal precipitated, the loss of the humanity.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, in John Wick 37, the golden years, he's still going to be whining that they shot his dog.
I would too.
And I mean,
That's like
and if you want to see Brandon Wick 1 take a shot at anything
No.
in his backyard,
No, don't even
and you will
joke about that.
see the wrath of an Olmsted.
Yeah.
All right, yes, they are our fur babies. They are our friends. They move in with us. They take over our lives. They add depth and texture, and they do the same thing for any story that represents them well.
Absolutely. So once again, you guys, we're getting ready to sign off here. We're over here at the Bartlett Animal Services. There's just enough time to get over here. You can still get in on the Rabies and Vaccination Extravaganza,
you got about
known
1
as
more hour.
RAVE, right?
Yeah,
That's
I like that.
Good acronym.
The
5220
Bartlett
Shelter
Animal
Run.
Rave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5220 Shelter Run in Bartlett. Definitely use your GPS.
Yeah.
And no bonus hour today, you guys. We're off duty.
What? Wow, we get to go play with the dogs.
There's a lot of dogs here, and I know where the kettle corn is.
Absolutely. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
And I am Brandon Olmsted reminding you, take care of your puppies and kittens. They will take care of you.